All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. I see you, Hamza, and everyone else. All right, fantastic. Looks like we're live. We're gonna do some creating some cool neon lighting effects in Photoshop. So, if you are ready, I'm gonna go ahead and get this party started. Super fun stuff to be working on, and again, it's all about sort of looking at light and kind of seeing what light looks like. Since you're adding light, how is it gonna how's it gonna react in this seemingly this flat photo? How does that light bounce off of those different objects and different things? So just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, this is it, Hamza. Good to have you here, and Valder as well. Fantastic. We can see right here, this is kind of what I have, as you can see. Just some fun little neon options that we have here. 3 different pieces, right? And you might have seen this look on Instagram or other places. And the question is, like how do you make this sort of work, right? Because again, it was not made in, obviously this wasn't shot in camera or anything like that. So this is the plan. This is what I'm going to make. So I think this is going to be super fun. So again, this is the sort of the neon look we're going for. So that being said, I'm going to close these and we'll start from scratch, if we could, right here with this piece, right? This is Apollo, or Zeus, as he's known. But in general, I'm going to go ahead and wrap some light around him and do some fun things. Okay, so hopefully that works for you. You can see the first thing I did is just cut out Zeus. I didn't even do a good job right there. We don't need to look at that. Look at this bad spot right here. Easily fixed. I'm going to select that. In fact, what I can do is I can just do a quick patch, content aware, okay, and we'll fill in that little area. In fact, what you can always do if that doesn't get it quite what you need, and again, I'm dealing with this background, okay, so I'm just getting rid of this part, and zoop, patch, zoop, sample from over there. So that's my background layer, and this is my foreground layer, okay? So this is what I'm gonna wrap these spheres or lights around. So that is the plan. I could do this a couple different ways. There's some different shapes I could use. I can go into the custom shape tool. I can take a look at these different shapes. I could do that actually with this right over here, one of these squares if I want to. So I'll select that square, and let's select a hot pink. Do something like that, right? We can see that's in front of and behind. And thank you so much for joining me, Jamie Rivera and Afroja. So this is what we have, right? So we can see how that's sort of currently interacting. We will kind of want this in front of and behind as well. But first, let's kind of work on the perspective. And what I'll do is I'll just wrap this. I'm gonna do a convert object, right? So I just have the original flat shape, but I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going to do an edit, transform, and select distort. So from here, I'm just gonna have this kind of, it's going to come out right here and then maybe come over here. I'm kind of making this 3D plane with this particular object, kind of like it's coming out kind of like that. Okay, hit enter. Command T, I could rotate it. I could do something like that. I don't know, I'm just playing with these different angles. So that's what I have right there. Okay, first part of this is we want this to glow. So we'll double click in this blank space right here, and we'll add a outer glow. Hello from Dubai, Jamie. Good to have you here as well. So let's kind of dive into this. Let me make sure I'm seeing everybody's comments and everything. Cool. Fantastic. Cool. So here we are. I'm adding pink, right? So I'm going to select that pink right there, and I can make it a little bit more extreme. But this is what we have, is we have this kind of nice nice pink color, and I obviously want to adjust the size, right? So we can have it get larger and larger if we want to. I can have an inner glow, say multiple glows basically. So you can have more effects. Notice right in here, I'm looking for outer glow. You actually can't add more effects in terms of the outer glow, but what you can do is you can use the drop shadow. So I'm going to use drop shadow, selecting drop shadow. I'm going to change that to white. I'm going to take that in, right? And I'm going to make sure the distance is nothing. And so with a distance of 0, the drop shadow then turns into an outer glow. And all I'm doing in this case is just making this look like more intense, a more intense glow with a subtle pink right there, kind of like that, okay? Slovenia in the house. Good to have you here. Fantastic. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We're going to do some fun things with this. So many things to do. In fact, what I'll typically do is I'll duplicate this layer or Command J to jump it. I'm going to put this one underneath the first one. For the second one, actually for this top one, right up here, shape 1, this is my rectangle. For this top one, I'm going to add a layer mask, hit B for brush, and then just start removing. Let's crank up the flow all the way. You know, the glow. Let's undo that. Kind of remove that part right there, and maybe right here, right? So it looks like it's going in front of and behind. All right, we got that. Hello, Noman from Pakistan. Let's go ahead and add a couple more things. I'm going to add a couple things. I need to pull out the color of this. So I'm going to go to hue. Actually, a number of things we can do here. This is typically what I'll do. I'm going to just take the saturation down to 0, right? That makes, and make that a clipping mask. So that just makes him black and white, okay? But now I actually want to paint on and start to manipulate this object. In fact, I'm going to have this very dark. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into, maybe we'll try curves. We could do a couple different things, but I can make everything darker using curves. Okay, let's clip that like that. Let's duplicate it. Let's bring that down there, kind of like that. So this is what I want. I have the contrast that I want. Now let's play with some other fun things. So let's add a layer, and let's make this a clipping mask. And then I'm going to hit B for brush. You ready for this, Steve? Good to have you here. Hello, Carlo from Germany. Yeah, Steve, I guess we're doubling up between myself and Terry, which is totally fine. So yeah. But again, this is just kind of a test stream, just so you know. But I'm painting on that face. And again, usually what I do is I take this flow down to like 20%, right? And I'll paint right in here, okay? So with that painted, I'm actually going to change the layer blend mode to something like overlay, right? And that just gives me that splash of color right on top of the statue, or like in front of wherever I need it, right? Because that's what's happening. We're getting this splash of color around both sides. Okay, kind of like that. Here it's going to be more in front, right? I'm painting some more right in here, and let's crank up that flow and adding that accordingly, right? Splash of color, just a splash, right? Does that work for you? And again, I can change this blend mode just so you can see what's going on. I can change the lighten, screen. You get the idea. Kind of like that. Overlay, soft light. And this is what I'm going for. Cool. I'm thinking about this perspective, and there's a couple more things I want to do, because I actually want to add another light source. But before I do that, I'm going to add another layer that happens to be a clipping path. B for brush, and take the flow down, because I might need to add a couple of layers. In this case, I'm actually not even adding any layer blend mode. I'm just painting directly on. In fact, let's just kind of go through some of these blend modes, because I still might get something nice. Normal and lighten are about the same thing. All right, so that's what the second layer does, just allows me to add more color. Let's erase right in here. I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna actually, take that off a little bit. A couple things I could do here as well. I can add a bounce light. So let's add a layer underneath everything else and hit B for brush. And I'm gonna have this bounce of color kind of coming off the face on this side, right? Because it's gonna give it this like sharp halo, right? So I'm gonna crank this flow all the way up. So just like give me an awesome brush and paint in, and you can see it's just adding that strong light coming from that edge. Even right here, maybe this could be like really intense kind of coming from that side. But that's what I'm doing, is adding it like a little bit of a halo around this character, kind of like that, and making sure there's also light in the front as well. Oops. Soft light. Oh yes. Add some there. Add some there. Again, just making that really strong, all in all. All right, that looks pretty good so far. I'm going to add another object in here, so let's do that right now. In fact, we could have our square. Let's come in here. Maybe we could add a circle or a triangle. Or really anything. Could be like little dots. I'm going to do a circle just to have a different shape. So here's a circle that I'm adding. In this case, this circle is going to be teal. Draw out our circle like so. And again, it's going to be teal. And now we can bend this a different way. So I'm going to convert this to a smart object. Command T. If you right click, you should be able to distort. So that's a shortcut way to get to all of the transform effects. Selecting Command T and then right clicking and selecting distort in this case. Maybe in this case, this actually needs to go larger. It's going to wrap around the other direction, kind of like that. Okay, so it's going to go in front of, maybe it's bigger. Kind of want to do something like that, if that works. Cool. Let's do it. Boom. Making this easy. Adding a drop shadow that again is even brighter. Technically that drop shadow is serving as a glow. Let's take this outer glow down a little bit. It's a little intense. All right, let's go with that. Let me know how you're doing, Gabo. Good to have you here. And everyone else. Fantastic. Same thing, create 2 layers, put one behind everything else. Right? For this top layer, add a layer mask, hit B for brush, and then start removing. Cranking this all the way up. Kind of removing there, shoop, like that, removing right there. Okay, now you can see it's kind of swooping through, and you get the idea. All right, there we go. Let's add more splashes of light. Like that. Cool. Hi, Brand. Good to have you here. Hello, Brand. B for brush. Painting. Oops. A little strong. Taking that flow down a lot. And I'll just start painting on here ever so slightly. Just to paint in even more than just the, like, on the black like that. You can see what that does, right? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Something like this. Have that wrapping around. Hopefully that works for you, Waleed. Welcome. What do you think? Let's actually take a look at some of these other ones. I could do the same thing with all of these characters. In fact, let's open up these final versions. Taking these two, this woman's statue, this other neon example. Let's open them up. Okay, I see. Revert. Here's the final. So here's the start, and then here's the final. This one's kind of unique because what's happening here is these are actually 3D objects. So watch this. Once I select this, I'll open up my 3D panel. And watch me rotate. You ready for this? Watch me rotate this. So I'm rotating that ring around her. See, I'm rotating that ring because that's actually a 3D object that I made. Okay. How did I make it? Pretty easily. I just drew a shape and then I went to 3D and I said 3D extrusion from selected layer. And that's how I did it. So that's that one, which is super fun, right? Have this sort of like blade cutting through. This is actually also a 3D object. We could rotate this around, right? Which is pretty cool. And then let's go to this neon statue. This is the start, and here is the final, right? Just like that. We could see those lights wrapping around in this case, and then all the painting that's taking place to make these colors. Right? Right here. We could see that as well. So cool. So check this out, Waleed. I'm going to show you this one more thing going back to our original. What we were doing is we were actually painting on top of this statue. But what I can also do is I can duplicate this. And let's fix everything that got unclipped. But I could take this statue, right? And I can apply a hue and saturation to it. And I can colorize it, right? So I'm actually just going to colorize the statue. So there's the statue colorized. Cranking that up, cranking up the saturation, I have it this nice color and nice control. So let's invert that mask and let's paint with the brush. So I'm going to paint right on top with white, and let me go ahead and move this down. Well, actually no, I'll just keep it where it is for now. I'll just show you, I'm actually painting in with that adjustment layer, right? So I'm just painting in and splashing on the color that way, okay? So this will work out well too, because all I'm doing is I just made this mask. Let's bring that mask down. There it is. Let's put it on top of the other things. And again, I'm just painting in that particular color using that adjustment layer. So that also worked out quite effectively in this particular scenario for this case right here. That's what this hue and saturation is. See, I can control its brightness and everything because that's an adjustment layer. So, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Just kind of creating some fun neon artwork, as you can see. And I encourage you to do the same thing. You know, create that cool stuff that you see on Instagram, that sort of thing. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you later.